Taiwan is on high alert as the new coronavirus spreads across China and around the world. I'm Andrew Ryan.
I'm Natalie So. Let's take a look at the stories that have been on our radar this week.
Front and center on the radar this week is the novel coronavirus outbreak that's infected more than 28,000 people and killed at least 565 worldwide. Right now in Taiwan, there are 13 confirmed cases of the virus. This week, Taiwan joined other countries in evacuating some of its nationals from the Chinese city of Wuhan, the origin of the new coronavirus. The first flight, carrying 247 people, touched down in Taiwan on Monday. Further flights are possible, with hundreds of Taiwanese still in Wuhan. But officials say more work is needed to ensure that priority is given to citizens who are elderly, children, or are chronically ill. Taiwan has been excluded from emergency WHO meetings about the outbreak, despite having 13 confirmed cases of infection. This has prompted statements from Japan, Canada, the EU, and the US supporting Taiwan's participation. Taiwan's foreign ministry says inclusion is important to ensure that there are, quote, no gaps in global virus prevention efforts. Meanwhile, the outbreak has created confusion in the skies as a number of countries halted flights to and from China. Italy has included Taiwan in its ban on Chinese flights, forcing the cancellation of direct flights to Rome. At the same time, Bangladesh, a country without direct flights to Taiwan, has included Taiwanese nationals in a ban on Chinese citizens entering the country. The foreign ministry has protested both moves. Vietnam earlier stopped flights from Taiwan, but has since reversed its decision. Finally this week, Taiwan has banned the entry of Chinese nationals starting Thursday. Beginning Friday, foreigners who have been to China in the previous 2 weeks will also be denied entry. Taiwan's government has also issued a red travel advisory for China. All returning citizens will be quarantined for 14 days.
Let's start with the word of the week. Andrew, ready to guess my word?
Yes, let's see what you have.
Alrighty.
Chaos, coronavirus, contact, contagious.
That's right. Well, everyone has been thinking about the new coronavirus, which is contagious, and anxiety about it is contagious. So today we'll be talking about if we really need to wear face masks. Also, we'll be talking with a journalist who's been covering the situation in China, and will give us a closer perspective on that.
Excellent. All right, you ready for my word?
Yes.
All right.
Feet? Fear. Oh, yeah. Good.
So really, fear is the biggest issue, I think. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, he said, we have nothing to fear but fear itself. Fear is what's driving all of the panic buying of masks. That's why there's a shortage of masks, not just here in Taiwan, but around the world.
That's right.
But the converse of fear is also something I want to talk about. Courage. And that is something that the people on the front lines, the medical professionals, the people who have the illness, and their families have, and I only wish them more.
Well, that's great. Nice word. And let's put these up on the shelf.
Also today, do you know where this is? This iconic mountain recently saw the biggest snowfall in 20 years. So what mountain is this and how much snow fell? We'll have those answers for you at the end of our show.
Taiwan has joined a growing number of countries that have evacuated their citizens from Wuhan, China, where the outbreak of the new coronavirus began. It took more than a week of cross-strait talks to pave the way for a charter flight that brought 247 Taiwanese back from Wuhan, the epicenter of the new coronavirus outbreak, on Monday night. President Tsai Ing-wen thanked China for helping Taiwanese return home. All passengers wore face masks and were screened on the plane for symptoms of the new coronavirus. Of the 247 passengers, 4 were sent to the hospital. 1 with a fever tested positive, 2 with sore throats tested negative, and a child on the flight had a stomachache. The hangar, airplane flight attendants, and suitcases have all been disinfected. The other passengers are now under quarantine in Linkou, Wulai, and Taichung, where they will stay in separate rooms for 2 weeks. Government hospitals are monitoring them and taking their temperature twice a day. Any that show symptoms will be sent to the hospital for further tests and treatment. Plans for a second charter flight have been delayed. Government officials say they need to make sure they're ready to handle the next group of people that need to go into quarantine.
Taiwan has begun rationing surgical masks. That's because people have been hoarding them. But don't worry, the government has a plan. Let's have a look. You'll need to bring your national health insurance card to an NHI-affiliated pharmacy, and we'll have a link to those below. There's a limit, only one purchase of 2 masks in a 7-day period. The price is 10 Taiwan dollars, about 16 cents US for 2. You can only buy them on certain days, depending on your NHI card number. So you can check the show notes for more details.
But the question is, do you even need to wear a mask? Well, that's the topic of today's Taiwan Explained. In today's Taiwan Explained, I'm going to tell you all about surgical masks and who should wear them.
All right, Natalie, we have 1 minute on the clock. You ready?
Yes.
Go.
It seems like everyone in Taiwan has been obsessed with one thing, face masks. But do we really need them? Well, let's first talk about how viruses are spread. They're spread through coughing and sneezing, contact with infected people and infected animals, and contaminated surfaces, food, and water. But how effective are these surgical masks? Well, they were invented in the 1800s to protect patients from droplets coming from surgeons' mouths and noses. They do protect others from you and protect you from some large droplets from others. But they do not protect from small airborne particles. The US CDC does not consider it respiratory protection. One reason is there's leakage around the edges. So when should you wear a mask? Well, the Taiwan government says you don't need to wear one all the time. And they said you should wear one in a hospital if you have a fever, other symptoms, or if your immune system is weak. A little over.
It's okay.
Okay, I'll finish
one.
up.
Yep.
And you could wear one if you're in an enclosed space or in contact with a lot of people.
Okay, so wearing a mask does not necessarily guarantee protection.
No, not at all. So only from maybe large droplets. If you sneeze, like right there,
Okay.
this might protect me.
Actually, yeah, and then it's going to protect me if you're wearing it too,
That's
right?
right. That's
Okay.
right. But you know what people need to do is actually wash your hands
Mm-hmm.
a lot and for about 20 seconds each time. That'll help us be protected from a lot of germs.
I have definitely been washing my hands
Me
a lot.
too. And don't touch your
Don't
face.
touch your face, yeah. All right, well, this is not the first time that Taiwan has had a thing for face masks. We're now going to tell you about the history of face masks in Taiwan.
Coronavirus fears have sent demand for protective masks soaring. It may feel unprecedented, but for the National Museum of Taiwan History, this is just another chapter in a story that goes back 100 years. Taiwan's first protective masks appeared in the 1920s when the island was ruled as a Japanese colony. A colonial-era flyer in the museum's collection recommends that people wear masks during an outbreak of meningitis. In the final years of Japanese rule, as World War II raged, gas masks also appeared in Taiwan. A 70s advertisement from the collection says, masks keep out exhaust from scooters and pesticide fumes. By the 80s, gauze masks had caught on. But a famous 1982 bank robbery made it clear that there should be limits on where they can be worn. Medical-grade N95 masks became big after the 2003 SARS outbreak, and surgical masks took center stage again during the 2014 Sunflower Student Movement, this time as a tool of protest. As masks come back into the spotlight, the museum has taken to Facebook to show just how long they've played a role in Taiwanese life.
The new coronavirus has spread to over 24 countries outside of China, and there have been many concerns about how China is handling the outbreak. Andrew recently spoke with the East Asia correspondent for Deutsche Welle, William Yang, who is reporting on the situation in China.
For the figures that are coming out of China, there's also been reporting saying that these numbers may be much smaller than reality. What is your take on that based on what you've been reading and the people who you've been following who are actually on the ground in China?
So what I've been reading and also what on Chinese social media is, for example, a lot of the times there would be desperate family members of some patients who are just very pissed or very frustrated about how the local hospitals are treating and handling the whole situation, so that they would go on to either Weibo or even Twitter to share about the difficulties of their family members trying to access the medical supplies and or also even just getting doctors to check up on them. And there have been people sharing information about how once their family member died in the hospital, the moment that the family member died, the hospital basically call him or her and then ask them to basically contact a local cremation center and then ask the cremation center to pick up the dead body right away because they don't want the supposedly contagious dead body to stay in the hospital for too long. And so when that happens, basically these deaths are most likely not recorded into the official figures that we're seeing that are released every day.
And now, are these people who have maybe not been diagnosed? They've passed away from, what some people are calling a serious pneumonia, but they haven't actually had the chance to have the official diagnosis of it being the new coronavirus. Is that why they're not being counted in?
Yeah, so actually the process of really confirming a patient as officially infected by the virus is a very complicated process in China. First of all, these patients with symptoms that are already happening need to line up for hours in order to just try to get a CT scan. And then a CT scan showing that their lungs are indeed being infected is not even enough to justify or qualify them for being considered as a confirmed case. After that, they also need to do other DNA tests to make sure that the virus, I guess, there are really traces of virus in their body. And so when that is confirmed, then they can be considered as a confirmed case of a coronavirus patient. But that process could take weeks. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of the people, a lot of the times, they probably have to go back and visit the hospitals day and day. And then with the traffic ban that are currently imposing in Wuhan, many of them living far away from the hospitals have to walk on foot to the hospital. And when your lung is already infected, for example, one of the sources that I've actually talked to, his father is really pretty much like very weak. And when your lung is, when you have to catch your breath and then barely be able to breathe just on your own, and you have to walk to a hospital, that's basically impossible for him to do that. So a lot of these people ended up, after the CT scan, they were given some medicines, basic medications that are and then they were asked to go home and, impose a self-quarantine for 14 days.
Yang said experts are saying at least 100,000 people could be infected in China. He also told Andrew how China has been suppressing talk about the virus online.
Actually, over 300 citizens have been either put into a temporary detention or be fined for sharing relevant information about the virus online. And that has not only been in Wuhan, but also all across China. And a very prominent Chinese activist, Hu Jia, he was actually took away from his house and put into a temporary detention when he was originally invited to go on air on Radio Free Asia's show last weekend. So that also just shows how insecure the Chinese government is about having the full extent of the epidemic being revealed to the world.
What are you worried about most right now in terms of this virus continuing to spread in China?
I think what I am most worried about is the number of the recovered people, because I've actually been seeing a lot of these more I consider as propagandic information or short messages about, how many people were discharged from this hospital in what province, and then they kept highlighting that number. But at the same time, there just isn't that much information about how did these people recover from this virus, and then what are the treatment that they went through, because I think these information will be very important not only to people in China but also around the world, because then the whole world will have a better understanding about it.
Again, that was the East Asia correspondent for Deutsche Welle, William Yang. We'll have the full interview on Facebook and YouTube.
This week on Taiwan by Number, we're going to be reflecting on the last time that Taiwan dealt with an outbreak of coronavirus. And of course, that is the SARS outbreak of 2003. Now, Leslie and Natalie, were you both here in 2003 for that outbreak?
I was in school.
Okay.
I was here at RTI.
Oh, yes. Leslie is younger. I was here at RTI too. Now, do you remember this? Does this look familiar to either of you two?
I don't remember that.
Okay, well, this is my ID from work here at RTI.
Oh, I get it. No,
you can see all the little stickers on there. I kept all the little stickers from each time they checked my temperature when I came into RTI to make sure that we didn't have a fever.
They're doing it now too.
And we're doing it once again. I'm also keeping those stickers as a memory of this time. Now, I want to start off by showing you some numbers about the coronavirus statistics to give you an idea of where we are at right now in the outbreak. Let's have a look at that. So as you can see, nearly 30,000 people are confirmed to have the virus. Sadly, about nearly 600 people have passed away already, and it looks like more than 1,000 people have recovered from the illness, which I think is a bright spot in this. Now, my question for you to start off with is, if we look back at SARS, what was the death toll from SARS back in 2003 around the world?
Globally?
Oh,
Globally.
Was it 320? 320?
320 for Nally. Leslie?
350?
All right, let's have a look at the answer.
Oh, 774.
774. So I want to kind of now compare SARS and coronavirus. Let's have a look at those statistics right now. Nearly 30,000 cases, confirmed cases for coronavirus. We have, as I mentioned, nearly 600 deaths. For SARS, 774 deaths. What was the confirmed cases of SARS, just to compare the two?
About 9,000?
9,000, says Natalie.
I'm going to go proportional, 30,000.
30,000?
Yeah.
All right, let's have a look at the answer.
8,096.
So about 8,096. Now, I want to caution you against comparing these two viruses in the way that we just compared them. Because, of course, these are two very different viruses. There are a couple things that you have to keep in mind when you're looking at it. First of all, coronavirus spreads much more quickly than SARS did. Also, people are contagious even if they're not showing the symptoms of having the virus. But what's even more important than those two things is the fatality rate. So I want to show you the fatality rate for SARS. Let's have a look at that. So 9.6% fatality rate. What do you think the fatality rate is now for the coronavirus? This is, of course, an estimate made by scientists. We don't know the exact fatality rate, but what is the estimated fatality rate?
4%?
4%, Natalie?
I want to do some quick math off of the numbers you just showed me, 1.5%.
1.5%. Okay, let's have a look at the answer. Okay, so we're looking at a roughly 2% fatality rate for the coronavirus. Now, this is much lower than for SARS. So that's something that maybe can make us feel a little bit better about the situation, considering how quickly it is spreading. The number of people who pass away is much, much lower than it was for SARS. Now, one final thing I want to do is show you this interesting number that I found this week. One of the things we've been using is alcohol spray to disinfect or to make things cleaner, like our hands, surfaces. This iPad earlier today, I used a little bit of alcohol to wash it off. Now, there are two different types of alcohol that are easy to find on the market. One is 75%. The other is above 90%. So my question for you is, in terms of killing bugs, viruses, things like that, which one is stronger, 75% or above 90%?
This is a trick question, Natalie.
It's got to be a trick question.
Logic will tell you 95%. But, it's not, but what if Andrew already knew that and he's just playing off of our paranoia?
Ah, you know me very well.
I'm still going to say 97%.
You're going to say 90%, Natalie?
Yeah.
Okay.
You could go for the...
I'll go for 75%. One of us is going to be right.
All right. Let's have a look at the answer.
75%.
It is
Why
indeed
is that?
75%.
That's interesting.
This is fascinating. So I looked into this, and basically the reason is the alcohol will kill the cells too quickly, or it works on the cells too quickly, and actually it ends up protecting the cells because it works so fast. So water will slow it down, but water penetrates the cells very easily. The other thing about water is that it evaporates less quickly. So it has more time to work on the cells and really kill them.
So don't buy the other one.
Don't buy the other one. Buy the 75%.
That's good to know. That's good to know,
I've been
Andrew.
buying 95%.
Well, the thing is, actually, this is important to know too. You can actually dilute the 90 or 95%.
Oh, just add some water, right?
Add some water. Make sure it's around 70-75%, and you're good to go.
All right.
All right.
Good deal.
So that's today's Taiwan by Number. On this week's Who in Taiwan, our mystery person is a gentle defender. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
All right. So on buzzer number 1, we have Natalie So. Buzzer number 2, we have Leslie Liao. All right. So let's begin. So our mystery person was born in 1951 in Kaohsiung, southern Taiwan. He's one of 8 children. He has been invested as a Knight of the Equestrian of the Holy Sepulchre of Jerusalem. His father was county magistrate of Kaohsiung. His mother managed a daycare, but he went into public health and got degrees from National Taiwan University and Johns Hopkins.
Is it Chen Jianren?
It is. It is our vice president, Chen Jianren. I guess he's a logical person to do this week. That's because he is an epidemiologist, and he's also the person who guided us through SARS.
That's right, I remember that.
Yeah. So I want to tell you a little bit more about our vice president. Here he's answering questions from reporters about the coronavirus on January 30th. Also, he is a devout Catholic. You can see that he met the Pope. He actually met 3 different popes.
Wow.
Here he is with Pope Francis. And in March of 2019, he announced that he was not running for re-election. Here's another picture to show you. You can see him here after President Tsai gave an acceptance speech following her victory in the presidential election on January 11th. He's there to the right of the president, and on the left is the new vice president-elect, William Lai. So there you go. That is Vice President Chen Jianren. That was a good and quick guess.
I thought it was going to be William Lai because he just went to the U.S., but then, hey, we have another vice president. That's pretty important.
I'm just going to tell you guys, I was way off. I was way off.
Who do you think it was going to be?
I thought it was going to be the current Minister of Health, Chen Shizong.
Not
Also-
too far off.
Also a great guess.
I'm glad I didn't push the button before Natalie, though.
And that is this week's Who in Taiwan.
This week on Hashtag Taiwan, the ICAO, the International Civil Aviation Organization. Now, it's one of the UN's many agencies, like the World Health Organization, and with this most recent coronavirus outbreak, many countries are relying on these agencies to coordinate prevention efforts. Now, you're probably asking me, where does Taiwan come in all of this? And the sad truth is, we don't really. Taiwan is not part of the UN. In fact, the Chinese government says China already represents Taiwan, and it's kind of a sad reality that we deal with. Enter stage left, the ICAO's Twitter account. Now, they got into some arguments on the internet over Taiwan. What happened? Well, I have the story for you right here. Buckle up, you guys. It's going to be a lot of information. Try to keep up.
Okay.
Jessica Drun is a non-resident fellow at an American think tank. On January 22nd, she posted these 2 tweets supporting Taiwan's participation in these 2 organizations. Well, a few days later, Jessica revealed that she was actually blocked by the ICAO's Twitter account. Now, a lot of people saw this as a blatant move on the ICAO's part to kind of censor mentions about Taiwan. And a lot of people, you know, they thought that the ICAO was just trying to censor. But there's a funny thing about the internet, you guys. When you tell it to go left, it makes a hard right. And a lot of people started dogpiling on the ICAO just to see, you know, why does a mention of Taiwan merit Twitter blocks? And people got blocked as well. Here are just 5 examples, and people started kind of wearing that like a badge of honor.
Wow, look at all those people that got blocked.
Interesting.
This is just a small sampling. There's a lot more. Anyway, in response, the ICAO said, ICAO has not blocked anyone for asking anything about anywhere. Please do not contribute to the spread of this misinformation.
Oh my goodness.
But guys, the proof is right here. Anyway, when things go down on social media, there's one person in Taiwan I like to turn to, and that's our Foreign Minister Joseph Wu. The dude tweets a lot, and he likes to sign his tweets JW, just so you know it's him. So in response to the ICAO, he said this: supporting hashtag Taiwan's inclusion in the ICAO is communicating misinformation. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, and then the Taiwan issue will just disappear? No. Taiwan will remain an air traffic hub, and the only way to ensure safety is inclusion. And there's that signature, JW, Joseph Wu.
Wow, look at those monkey emojis.
That's cute.
I just see him
very
like
straightforward.
the Minister of Foreign Affairs, just like monkey. And it makes me happy. Anyway, this whole slew of drama also caught the attention of U.S. officials like Wisconsin Representative Mike Gallagher, Florida Senator Marco Rubio, and the State Department spokesperson Morgan Ortagus. In fact, this got so bad that the U.S. State Department actually released an official statement condemning the ICAO's actions of blocking people on Twitter over mentioning Taiwan.
Look at that, outrageous.
Look at that.
Yeah, it's they blatantly said outrageous. Now, I'm running out of time here, you guys, but there's one last thing I got to show you, and it's really important, and it came in at the last minute while I was writing #Taiwan. Have you guys heard of the hacker group Anonymous?
Yes.
Okay, so they actually hacked into a UN server and they made a new website supporting Taiwan. This is hosted on a UN server. You can find this website online after, I think, for 38 hours, 40 hours now. This website's still up there.
Whoa.
Taiwan
The top
number
there
one.
is, on top is the Anonymous logo, so you know it's them. And then Taiwan #1, that's been kind of like a tagline for people who are pro-Taiwan. Taiwanese flag, KMT flag, DPP flag. And then they have the Taiwanese national anthem there on the bottom. And at the very bottom is, I don't know, it's one of the songs to the Avengers Endgame. I don't know why it's there.
Just because.
They're a fan.
Yeah, but if you are interested in this topic, guys, go on Twitter. There's so much more information that I haven't even touched upon yet. And I got to go find a jacket because this shade that's getting thrown around is making this place chilly, you know what I'm saying?
That's great.
Yeah, so...
All right.
For great
Well,
justice.
thank you so much, Leslie. That was very interesting. And that's it for #Taiwan this week. Do follow us on social media and leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you.
And finally today, where in Taiwan? Now at the top of the show, we showed you a photo and asked if you knew where it was. Let's take one more look now at that photo. This iconic Taiwanese mountain recently saw the biggest snowfall in 20 years.
Where in Taiwan is this? Well, let's take a look at the answer.
People driving down Provincial Highway 21 are being greeted with a rare sight, Taiwan's highest mountain, Yushan, covered in snow. The beautiful scenery has sent tourists and nearby residents alike driving up to the mountain to take a look. The management office at Yushan National Park says recent snowfall has piled up to 25 centimeters, the highest accumulation in the last 20 years.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this inside look at Taiwan this week. And as you'll notice, we still have some red lanterns above us.
That's right.
That's because the Lantern Festival is this Saturday. Go out, have some fun, and we'll bring you some images of that next week.
And do connect with us on social media. Leave a comment below. We would love to hear from you. For Taiwan Insider, I am Natalie So.
I'm Leslie Liao.
And I'm Andrew Ryan. See you next week.